call the meeting to order. Everyone rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Campbell. Here. Fournier.
Here.
Goodnow.
Here.
Hammond.
Here.
Crop.
Here.
Menser.
I'm here.
Voorhees.
Here.
Okay. Moving on to announcements, acknowledgements, communications, and reports. We have actually two announcements. I received a letter, and so did City Manager Johnson, that we would like to acknowledge. The Michigan Association of Municipal Clerks is an organization that promotes and educates Michigan's clerks. Through our Michigan Professional Municipal Clerk Certification Program, clerks are recognized for their knowledge of the multifaceted clerk's profession. We're pleased to announce that your city clerk, Kathleen Martin, has met the program criteria and has attained the prestigious MIPMC certification. Kathleen's commitment to education and desire to attain certification clearly defines commitment to the clerk's profession and your community. On behalf of the Michigan Association of Municipal Clerks Boards of Directors, I ask that you join us in congratulating Kathleen Martin for this accomplishment and well-deserved recognition.
City manager and audience, thank you.
And we know that we know that Mrs. Martin has a big election coming up in a week or so, well, a couple weeks, and so we wish her luck in her first one as clerk. So thank you very much for your extra work with this.
Oh, thank you.
Our second announcement is I have received a letter from the State of Michigan Department of Treasury. Dear Laura Kropp, as you're aware, Tax Management Associates recently conducted an audit of minimum assessing requirements on behalf of the State Tax Commission. The audit indicated that Mount Clemens City met all of the minimum requirements. We wish to congratulate the unit on receiving a perfect score on the review and thank you for your cooperation throughout this process. An electronic version of your AMAR review and detailed comments regarding each item is available through your Michigan portal. Sincerely, William Gass, Michigan Department of Treasury. So we want to thank our assessor, and I believe Cliff's office as well was involved in that. So thank you very much to those departments as well. And that's all the announcements that I have. Mr. Johnson, are there any for you?
Nothing additional.
All right, and we have, as the department reports, all of those listed. I know we talked extensively about community development. So are there any other of the reports that commissioners have a question for those department chairs? Yes, Commissioner Menser.
So I'm looking at the Sheriff's May activity chart, and it shows for between May of 2020 and May of 2021, a whopping 136.45% increase in traffic calls, but a 95.11% increase in service calls. And so I think I would like to have a definition, a little bit better definition of what are they considering service calls.
And I just want to point out that the reason behind that significant increase would be because everyone was, well, first the traffic calls, they were instructed to not make traffic stops during that time because of COVID of 2020. So April and May of 2020, and that's part of the 41B district budget issue, remember?
Okay.
And so they've returned now to normal operations of, enforcement. So that's part of that. That's why we'll see those increases. So expect that for June, expect that for July, because they weren't doing any. So yeah.
But yeah, so I would just like maybe, like I said, a little bit of a definition behind service calls. Is that what kind of calls for help? Because there are other statistics here. But so that's my thing on the sheriff. And actually, there are three other. And please, the rest of the commission here, don't throw things at me. But there are actually three other reports that I would like to see. I would like to see some kind of report on activity for our vacant commercial building ordinance. I would like to know, what we've done with some of the empty buildings that remain empty and where we're at with that. I would also like to see a housing commission report. When we separated from the housing commission, they agreed to send us monthly reports, and I think we got them for like 2 months, and I haven't seen any since then. And actually, I would like to see a DDA report. It is important for us to know, I think, what's going on in the DDA so that we can share that with residents and people who ask, and that we can all show up at some of the events that the DDA puts on. So I would like to see those 3 reports in the future when we can get them together.
What was the first one?
Vacant commercial building
Thank you.
and housing commission
Got that.
And then DDA.
and DDA.
We do get a yearly calendar from DDA, right?
And every time it's amended, because we approve it. Also, we have a social media presence that announces every event. Okay.
And didn't we get a list of vacant commercial buildings? Wasn't there something that we received? I'll have to look back. I know there was something where we looked at, maybe it was those that hadn't paid, or we were adding it to the tax rolls or whatever.
Yeah. Okay, anyone else have any questions or comments about these reports and the information in them? Okay. All right, we'll move to adopt the agenda. I do have one caveat to that. We'd like to take out, administration has asked to remove item 10C because they need some clarification on that. So they would like to remove 10C. Is there anyone who would like to make a motion with that?
I'll move that we approve the agenda as corrected.
Support.
Any questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Campbell,
Yes.
Fournier,
Yes.
Goodnow,
Yes.
Hammond,
Yes.
Crop,
Yes.
Menser,
Yes.
Voorhees.
Yes.
Okay. Moving on to public participation. This is the portion of the meeting that the public is invited to address the commission. All that we ask is that you give us your your full name and abide by our 3-minute rule. Is there anyone at this time? We're going to address the in-person public participation first, and then, Darren, are we connected to Zoom? Okay. And we have people on Zoom? Yes, we do. Okay. So we'll address the in-person first, and then we will go to the Zoom. On Zoom, if they can raise their hand, use the raise their hand function, or go ahead and turn their camera on, or somehow, other than smoke signals, please signify that you would like to speak on the Zoom. Okay, is there anyone in person who would like to address the commission?
Good evening, Commission. My name is Thomas Barnes. I live at 291 Jones Street here in the beautiful city of Mount Clemens. I first would like to start by saying thank you to all of the commissioners and the mayor and the city manager who participated in the Boys and Girls Club and the Detroit Pistons youth basketball camp that happened this past week. It was a great partnership. We averaged about 60 kids per day. They came in for free. The parents were able to drop the kids off at 9 a.m. Most of the little kids were advised, their parents were advised to pick them up by 1 p.m. because staying until 3 was a hellaciously long day for the little bitty kids. At 1 o'clock, a game truck came in, fed the kids food from local vendors every single day. So they had food from Happy's Pizza. I seen a couple of days that I was there. It's absolutely awesome. And then on Friday, when they did their award ceremony, Commissioner Hammond was there serving ice cream that was made from liquid nitrogen for all of the small children and some of us portly adults. Additionally, I would like to remind the Commission and the city and the residents that we have our sport court program that is still currently happening Mondays from 2 until 3:30 at Shadyside Park, and then Wednesdays from 2 to 3:30 at Wilson Park. Bring the kids out for free sports sampling sponsored by the Wise Positive Play Initiative. And that is all. Thank you, guys.
Is there anyone else? Sure. We can bring a microphone to you. Okay, is there anyone on Zoom?
I have one.
Okay.
Hi, Randy Bachman from Pleasant Trees Campus Company, 13815 Southgate Drive, Sterling Heights, Michigan. That's my address. And I'm here to talk tonight about the consumption lounge and the temporary event license. With the Gibraltar space and the lack of potential power capacity in the grid, we're looking to use the space and try to find different ways to make it work as far as what we can use under the cannabis licensing. And consumption lounge is a very obvious one that makes a lot of sense at this site. It's very far away from any homes. There would be a retail attached to it, so it'd be very easy to service a consumption lounge. Moving on to the temporary event license, I think that would also be a very good opportunity to use the space at Gibraltar as well. With the temporary event license, one thing I do want to point out is that if it is in the ordinance, it's not just a given that you can have a temporary event. Every single time you want to have an event, whenever you do want to have one, you have to apply to the state 90 days before the event's date, and you also have to get a permit for each event from the local municipality. So the municipality would have an opportunity to look at every single event at that time and decide, if it makes sense, where it's at, and be able to go back and forth with the temporary event license holder for that event. Thank you.
All right. Is there anyone else on Zoom? Okay, great.
Good evening, everyone. Jerome Crawford, Director of Legal Operations and Social Equity at Pleasant Trees. Just want to echo all the comments that Randy just shared, specific also to Gibraltar, and share a little bit more holistically about consumption lounge as well as temporary marijuana events. That it's essentially a natural progression and flow, given that this body has already voted for the approval of licensure moving in that direction. Now, it's going to have retail establishments and the like. That it would make sense that no different, as the city manager explained in his letter, that the natural progression, of course, is that individuals then have an opportunity to go to where they would actually then consume the product. But unlike your traditional bar or whatnot, you cannot sell at these establishments, so it's important to note what those sort of restrictions are. Echoing another point that Randy made as well, you have to not only get through local municipality approval, but also state approval. So you not expect to see events sort of just popping up randomly, nor of course would you see a consumption lounge. So there's still going to be some strict scrutiny and processes around it, but will be another opportunity for revenue building as well as job creation in the city, and would definitely be in favor of that coming on over and as well. So be in favor of the consumption lounges as well as the temporary event licenses to really allow this industry to thrive and bolster. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right. Thank you very much for all the participation. Moving on to administrative responses to issues or questions regarding previous meetings. Do we have any? Mr.
We do
Johnson?
not.
Okay. Moving on to agenda item 8, approval of minutes.
Motion to approve City Commission meeting for July 6, 2021, meeting minutes.
Support.
Any questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Fournier.
Yes.
Goodnow.
Yes.
Hammond.
Yes.
Crop.
Yes.
Menser.
Yes.
Voorhees.
Yes.
Campbell.
Yes.
Okay, general business. Item A, marijuana business ordinance discussion. This time it's going to be on premises consumption and temporary events. Mr. Johnson.
Yes, this is the fourth and last of the 4 significant areas that were identified in the city attorney's original cover letter. We've gone through last time we talked about micro businesses. That was really supposed to be part of this one, so we don't have that tonight. So we're really just looking at designated consumption establishments and temporary marijuana events. The draft ordinance does not allow for either. A designated consumption establishment license permits consumption of cannabis products on commercial premises for adults 21 and up. However, retail sales are not permitted. As a result, the designated consumption establishment must be separate from a licensed marijuana retailer or micro business. To repeat myself, this is not like a restaurant or bar with a Class C, which can sell and serve liquor by the glass for on-premises consumption. The designated consumption establishment license does not include a right to sell marijuana products at all. They must be purchased elsewhere and be brought to the designated consumption establishment by the customer, or they may be delivered to the customer at a designated consumption establishment by a licensed retailer. For this reason, you're likely to see, as was already suggested during public comment, applications for designated consumption establishment licenses coming from persons or organizations who are also seeking or already possessing a retail license, who intends to put the designated consumption establishment next to or very near the licensed retail establishment.
Okay, so we need to open the discussion? We need to move to open it before.
I move to open discussion on how designated consumption establishments and temporary marijuana events shall be treated in the marijuana business ordinance.
Support.
Any questions on that? We can roll call.
Goodnow.
Yes.
Hammond.
Yes.
Crop.
Yes.
Menser.
Yes.
Voorhees.
Yes.
Campbell.
Yes.
Fournier.
Yes.
Okay, now we can discuss. Did you have a question? Did you have a thought? Okay.
I'm all for the consumption events. As Michael, I believe his name is Michael, that used to come to the city meetings, was all for events being in the city for consumption, so.
Oh, okay, we're prepared to. Yes, Commissioner Menzer.
Quite frankly, I would like to hear from the DDA board on this, because if we're going to have a consumption event, or, like the Ann Arbor Heart Hash Bash or whatever, if we're going to have a consumption event, it might be, are they interested in having something like that downtown and, closing the streets? And if we change the zoning for, or we allow a consumption establishment in the downtown area, I'd kind of like to hear what the DDA's thoughts are on that, whether they're negative, whether they're pro, and how that might work, for the downtown area.
Mr. Tingley, do you want to attempt to address
I
that?
think it would be great for the downtown area for businesses and to benefit, because you know what happens? Well,
Yeah,
you
that's
get
not
the
a
money.
topic that's ever been
Yep.
discussed with the DDA board, so I can't imagine how they would react as a whole. I'm sure there'll be varying opinions from different board members.
Well, I'm sure there will be too, but, there's, this board has varying and different opinions, and we always come to some kind of a consensus. So I just thought that might be a conversation that the DDA board would like to have and advise us on what the majority of their members feel. I mean, I can go out and ask
Ms.
everybody,
Weiss,
but,
Do you have a, Ms. Weiss, have you, go ahead. Good. Go to the microphone.
Yeah.
It was discussed at our retail meetings in the beginning before you even decided to change ordinances and so on. And several weren't for it downtown. But that was a few years ago. Things have changed. I think, to be fair, they're the ones that are going to be impacted, both bars, restaurants, retailers, service groups that we have downtown. I think it would be fair to at least get an opinion from them today, not from 3 years ago, because as I said, maybe they've changed their mind about it. But I think they're the ones that are going to be impacted, and they're the ones that are going to hear from the public because their customers will be vocal, I'm sure. I just think that would be the fair way before a decision was made, since it does impact them the most.
Well, I agree with you, and when I did an informal poll several years ago, I went to several bars and restaurants and shops down there, and I had one business owner tell me, now, bring it now, right now, across the street, right now, now. I had one business tell me, absolutely not. And I had some businesses say, well, it would be okay if it were over there on like New Street instead of over here on Macomb Place. So there was a varied opinion. And so I think that it's, I would like to hear from the DDA board.
Where- Can I,
Wait,
oh.
hang on. You can.
Well, let's, number one, don't confuse the designated consumption establishment with the marijuana, temporary marijuana events.
Right, no, I know they're
Okay,
two
they're
separate
separate.
things.
Number two, relative to the consumption establishments, I believe Ann Arbor has authorized one or two, but as of April, nobody had. So it isn't like they're out there where you can in an abundance. They, as Mr. Johnson pointed out in his report, the idea is that they are going to be adjacent to or closely near a retail establishment or a micro business. That's the way it is somewhat perceived. That's how it's going to be, because they're the only two places where you can buy the marijuana.
Right.
So the one in Ann Arbor, by way of example, is a house that is next door to a retail establishment. I don't think you're going to see much in downtown because of that reason. Our ordinance and this proposed ordinance both specify that it's light industrial and industrial, and you have one general commercial logo that it would be allowed in. So I don't really see where you're going to have a number of people opening up or attempting to open up a designated consumption establishment downtown. That's number one. Then there are some restrictions. Laura has some rules, and it isn't like you can just go into any storefront and open up. There's special ventilation rules. There are a number of things relative to these designated consumption establishments. And if you do authorize one or more, the next question that you will be addressing is, what are the hours of their operation? And what are the days of their operation? I have seen some proposals where they're open to 2 in the morning. So it isn't really as simple as just going and renting a storefront and saying you can, you know.
So it seems like we need to kind of separate these two, and so we need to maybe first talk about consumption lounges, and then we can talk about, you know, designated consumption lounges, and then the next thing we can talk about is temporary events. So obviously, the way our ordinance would be set up, Mr. Murray's point, we won't need to worry about the DDA. But, you know, so that would be, right as the ordinance states right now, we're talking about light industrial to industrial is where these would be.
That's where the retail establishments can be located.
Right.
Theoretically, if someone wanted to take an empty building and do all the ventilation and all of those things, they could, if you authorized it, they could establish a consumption establishment. I'm just saying, what's been in existence thus far under this act, it seems to be very close in proximity to retail establishments and/or micro businesses.
So you're saying that somebody couldn't go to an a retail establishment in Warren and purchase their smoke legally and then come consume it in Mount Clemens?
No, that's not what I'm saying.
Okay, so no,
No, that's
so
what they
so I'm clarifying
But
that.
they also,
So-
a consumption lounge, I'm sorry, still has to be in with the churches and schools. So
Right.
that puts
Right.
them out of downtown a lot too. Right.
You mean like a hookah lounge, is that?
It's different, but it's,
Somewhere.
I guess, but it's different.
Yeah.
Right.
So, so that still takes me back to, we can change the zone, you know, where we want this in a zone. The ordinance is not written in stone and it's not been finally approved yet, so that can change. The micro business locations can change. So, again, I would like to hear from some of our local businesses in the city if they are interested in having a consumption establishment, and, you know, is the business owners in the DDA district, are they in favor of let's call it an attraction event, to bring people in to celebrate marijuana in all its forms, like a hash bash, but not hash pot.
Does anyone else have any questions or comments?
Okay, Mr. Murray, thank you. You've answered a lot of mine, but, I mean, if someone goes and buys it, once recreational is approved, if someone goes and buys it, where can they consume it right now? Does it have to be in their home or
Well,
any private residence
The
or?
statute says you can, consuming marijuana in a public place is prohibited.
Okay, so once,
Except for, and that's where you get into the designated consumption and the temporary event licenses.
okay, so these would be just places, just strictly for
Smoking.
smoking marijuana?
Yep.
Not necessarily, they couldn't have alcohol there too, it would just be marijuana?
Yep.
No food?
No food, no drink, marijuana.
Could they have a
During a consumption event, why not? Because they do that,
Like,
they have all kinds of.
what you're at,
events.
like, can they have a band, is what, yeah.
Yeah, well, and the Ann Arbor one has food trucks
And vendors.
and vendors, so. So actually, I would actually like to make a motion that we table this discussion until the DDA can come back with us and give us an opinion after the DDA board meets.
Well, if you're going to do that, then I think you're talking about, we're not going to be able to present a proposed ordinance, because now you're talking about a different zoning, opening up the zoning, opening up the areas. And so, you know, you're going to have some consensus to get an ordinance. I mean, you could do whatever you want to do. I'm just saying
Right.
that if you want to do that, then don't anticipate a proposed ordinance next month.
No, I get that, but I think if we're gonna do this, we might as well cover all bases right from the start. And has been indicated here, you know, there are several commissioners all in on this, and there are several commissioners that obviously are not. So I think that we have, it's incumbent upon us to do our homework.
I understand what you're saying, and but I'm thinking. I know we were going to maybe struggle to have a quorum for August,
Well, yeah, we didn't have a quorum.
for July, and we think we're gonna, because I know, like, I'm. not
Just to
gonna be-
clarify, you're seeking DEA input on just the on-premise consumption and temporary events.
Yes. Well, maybe if the DDA board members knew that that was going to be the topic, maybe they would show
Well,
up.
it's middle of summer. Well, it's not just a showing up. It's it's summer. Some of us have vacations planned and things.
Don't you also have to then invite their discussion on zoning? What's the point of them talking about
Yeah.
what their thoughts are if it can't be located there?
Opening
Well,
Pandora's
okay,
box.
See,
For
okay,
backtracking.
when we originally did the marijuana ordinance, we were gonna
Yeah.
get,
So-
get our feet wet. We were gonna see how it went. This thing is exploding now into all different areas, and I think we can always amend it later, right, to include this?
Yes, so you can amend it to add more licenses of varying types. You can, it's not cast in stone. It's like any other ordinance. You can amend it and change it.
So if we end up, what are the reasons we did want to get it in this year, right? And add,
Yeah, I mean,
I
you're
don't
gonna
know,
push
this is
till-
taking it into all different areas than I
You're gonna
ever
push this till
contemplated.
after the election.
Mike, I think at the last meeting, I asked you about, let's say, a building, and now we're adding the consumption establishments, whether they would sell medical and then recreational,
They can,
and could
under
they,
the recreational act, they can, under in-laws rules, they can sell both. What they have to do is have them separated in their establishment,
Run
clearly
along.
marked, clearly defined as recreational and medical.
and could they then also then divide it in thirds and say that there would be a designated consumption
No.
establishment?
No, the consumption establishment has to be separate.
I'd
Now,
s-
that could be a different portion of that building,
So I could
but it
run a-
has to be totally separated from where they're selling.
selling. So they could put a, if they
They just buy a door.
You go out the one door and you go in the other door.
Right.
put a wall down, I get it.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So it's a possibility that all three could be in one
Complex.
technically
Call it a
complex.
complex.
Two of them are going to be,
Two of them are going to be,
under any circumstance,
Okay.
they're both going to be the medical and the recreational.
okay.
Until such time as it becomes not profitable to do medical.
Anymore, okay.
But it is, it's been pointed out before, the state taxes them differently. The recreational has an extra 10%
Okay.
tax.
So I understand that this will involve much more discussion. I understand that this will extend our timeline. But my call is that, let's do it right from the start. Let's not worry about, we can amend this later, we can amend that later, we can amend this later. Let's just do it right.
So we have a motion on the floor right now to discuss. So we would need to close that motion and then you can make your motion.
So we're going to include consumption and temporary, we haven't discussed those at all.
Right, no, I know. That, I was just kind
Well, as long
of
as
directing the
that-
discussion that we
yeah.
can't really make another motion on top of this
Right.
motion. We need to, so,
But why don't you discuss the temporary
yes,
now
exactly, of course, yes, absolutely.
Before you,
Yeah, I wasn't
Yeah.
closing anything, I was just directing that. So, so we've kind of, everyone has their opinions about designated consumption establishments. Let's move on to the, what am I?
marijuana, temporary marijuana.
Thank you, the
event
events. Trying to get the actual title of that,
The
but yes.
statute provides that the state can issue a license that if a marijuana event organizer, and that is a person who gets a license from the state to apply for temporary marijuana events. It's valid for 1 year, and it authorizes that person to organize temporary marijuana events. So that's where it starts. You have a person who gets one of these licenses, and he or she is going to organize events throughout the tri-county area or the state. Then what happens is that person must find a site and then has to go to the municipality where that site is located and get approval to conduct an event at that site. So it's totally within the discretion of the municipality. No one can come here and say, I've got a event license and I'm going to have an event out at Memorial Park. That cannot happen unless the municipality agrees and authorizes it. So that really, and then the municipality also obviously has the authority to control the dates, the hours, et cetera, if there were an event. And the state license is only good for 1 day to 7 days. That's the maximum an event could be, is 7 days.
7-day event.
Yes. So that is what,
That's a zombie
in a
apocalypse.
I was
nutshell,
gonna
you're
say.
talking about with the temporary event license. That's
So-
how that works.
And what are some, I know like sometimes we can't deny an event if, you know, we have to be careful about denying an event.
Oh,
We
I-
have to have
yeah.
sound reason,
But I don't,
right?
for this, the statute makes clear, you do not have to allow any
And we don't have to have a
temporary
reason.
marijuana event, period.
I mean, if it's in our ordinance that we're allowing events, then, but we don't want them, say here, but we want them there, you
It's
know.
still up to you what you're going to approve. It's similar to what you would approve.
Do we have to put that in the ordinance though? Like, will we allow these events in light industrial or industrial, you know, I mean, do we
No,
have, do we,
well-
we'll only allow the area, I mean, do we have to define it that far, or do we?
It's not a license that is going to fall into one of the categories. These are called special licenses, both of them. So they are not going to fall into categories like the grower, the retailer, et cetera.
So we could
You could-
close down Main Street and have
Sure,
a
sure.
marijuana
Yeah,
fest.
Yep,
Oh,
yep, yep.
They like
But-
to
but
eat,
take-
they like to eat.
There you go. There you go.
That's it.
That's it.
So my thing is, I don't want, you know, a pot event every weekend. I don't want a pot event every month. But there are hundreds of thousands of people that descend on Ann Arbor for this big event, and on other municipalities too. And when they come and they've, you know, enjoyed their festival, they stay in the hotels, they eat in the bars, you know, and restaurants, you know, they go out for drinks, they shop, you know, they go into our establishments. So if we had, you know, just think of a weekend like what's coming up. Thursday, we have the fireworks. Friday, we have the downtown concert. Saturday, we have the opera theater, you know. So, you know, Sunday, you know, after, or Wednesday, so that everybody gets in a good mood, we can have our event, a smoking event.
How long does it
I also
last?
think, I also think too, like, we have events that are around drinking. I mean,
Yeah,
you know,
sure do.
and like, we
Yep.
have the Oktoberfest, right? I mean, that event is around drinking.
We have the social district.
That's what the temporary license.
Right, as
Yeah.
what's the, I mean,
Well, maybe one thing you might want to do if you're going to seek the DDA's input, you might want to seek the sheriff's input as to their thoughts on these type of events.
Well, I look at it as with the social district, I don't think, or I'm not sure, but with all the bars on board. And I think it'll be the same thing with the marijuana being in downtown. I don't think every business will be on board.
of course,
So
everyone
it's-
has an opinion.
Yeah, that's why we're seeking the opinion of the DDA, because you're right. Not every bar is in favor of the social drinking district. You know, right now, there's only 2. There may, a couple more may join, but I've heard that others are saying absolutely not. They don't want people leaving their establishment, they want them spending their money in their bar. So you're right. There are going to be some varied opinions, and that's why I think that, again, I would like to hear the opinion of some of the businesses downtown. Is there some way, if you guys don't have a quorum for a meeting, is there some way that you could, you know, survey the businesses and just get their opinion?
Well, the board is different from the business community. I mean, you know,
Well,
you're asking for
for the board, yeah.
businesses that is.
Well, that would, I would leave that to you, Mickey. Or to Brian, or to Phil Gilchrist, the president, however you guys want to do it.
Okay, so does anyone else have any questions or comments on this?
I move to close the discussion on the marijuana business ordinance.
Okay, any questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Oh, I need a second.
Support.
Oh, sorry.
Support.
Sorry, jump of the gun. Now, any questions or comments? Roll call.
Hammond,
Yes.
Crop,
Yes.
Menser,
Yes.
Voorhees.
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Fournier,
Yes.
Goodnow.
Yes.
I move to table this discussion until the DDA is able to come back with a majority opinion.
Do I have a second? Do I have a second? Do I have a second?
Sure, second.
Okay. Questions or comments?
So, yeah, I do have one for Commissioner Menser. So you want them to do this for what reason? What's this going to show us?
Because if we were going to have an event
Okay.
in the downtown area, the businesses ought to be able to give their opinion on that event. And if they come back and a majority says, we are totally against this, then we're done with the discussion. If they come back and say, we are totally for this, we think this would be great, we think it would attract business, we think it would attract people, then we're going to have all of the other discussions that Mr. Murray pointed out.
But the events are not just for the downtown area.
Right, they could be other places too.
I also would like to mention that we're just, right now, directing Mr. Murray to formulate an ordinance. We do have an opportunity while he's formulating to get this information, and then we could say, okay, we've got this huge, terrible response. We can X this within the next few weeks.
Yeah, we can
So, I mean,
drive
I would hate to see that we would hold this up for, another month or so to because of that. That's my opinion, but anyone else? Okay, roll call, please.
Crop,
No.
Menser,
Yes.
Voorhees,
No.
Campbell,
No.
Fournier,
No.
Goodnow,
No.
No.
Hammond.
We have some, motion failed. Do we have another motion that somebody would like to, there are a few that are on here.
I move the proposed marijuana business ordinance, if adopted, should allow 2 designated consumption establishments.
Oh, then we're doing these separate? Okay. Anyone support?
Support.
Questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Menser,
Yes.
Voorhees,
Yes.
Campbell,
No.
Fournier,
No.
Goodnow,
Yes.
Hammond.
Yes.
Do I get one?
I was going to say, Lord.
You don't get to vote
No.
anymore.
Yes. Okay, so now we need a motion on temporary marijuana events.
And that motion passed
Yes.
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 All right.
5-2.
5-2.
5-2.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I move the proposed marijuana business ordinance, if adopted, should allow temporary marijuana events.
Do I have a support?
Support.
Okay. Any questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Crop,
Yes.
Menser,
Yes.
Voorhees,
Reluctantly, yes.
Campbell,
No.
Fournier,
No.
Goodnow,
Yes.
Hammond.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes
I
5-2.
get-
Yep, go ahead, please.
And that is that the
Yeah, I'll have to-
revised
If we don't do this,
proposed
they're going to
ordinance,
put it on the ballot, so we better do
we
it.
will reflect what is the direction that we've been given by the commission on these various items. And there may, in addition, we're looking at right now, there may be some changes to the selection criteria. And we will point that out when we send all of you a draft of the proposed ordinance. Because the comment was made, we want to do this right. Well, the biggest right and wrong is going to be over the litigation as to, is this a competitive process?
Okay.
That's what all the litigation has been over thus far, and that's one of the things that hopefully there's no guarantee, but we want to make sure that we make that as foolproof as possible.
Okay. Excellent. All right, we're going to move on then to engagement letter for Miller Canfield, agenda item 9B. Mr. Johnson.
Yes, we have two different,
Oh, I'm sorry. Do we need a motion first?
oh, sorry.
Let everybody get there.
I move to engage Mr. Jeffrey S. Arnoff of the law firm of Miller Canfield to represent the city in matters relating to the Michigan Brownfield Redevelopment Act and to authorize the mayor and clerk to sign the engagement letter.
Support.
All right, now we can go ahead, Mr. Johnson.
Thank you. The city's facing two situations right now that require very specialized legal expertise. Both of these involve the Michigan Brownfield Redevelopment Act. The first involves a reimbursement claim arising from a 2009 brownfield plan. It's extremely complicated because all the brownfield plans are based on tax increment financing, capturing a tax increment and being able to use that to pay for the brownfield improvements or to reimburse the developer for his brownfield improvements. The complication we've got in this case is that the DDA is already capturing tax increment revenue, or most of the tax increment revenue. And in order to do this, we're going to have to get some agreement from the DDA to give up some of their capture. The second involves a new brownfield application from KE Electric. We have a work session scheduled in the future for a presentation to the commission, and then we have actually this week, the Brownfield Commission is hearing the request from KE Electric. I sent that agenda out to all of you and indicated that if you wanted to get a preview of it, you might attend that meeting. The reason I'd like to get specialized legal counsel on this one is because I think there's things that weren't handled properly in 2009. I mean, this situation with the DDA should never have been allowed to happen. But I just want to make sure we do this one right.
Okay.
Mr. Aronoff has assisted the city on other issues. He served as bond counsel on a recent bond issue. He also assisted the DDA with its plan amendment last year, so we're very familiar with him. And we're recommending that the city engage him to represent us in this matter. Mr. Murray, you might want to add something to that.
Yeah, just that that I started discussing this with Mr. Arnoff at least 2 months ago. My understanding is the prior 2009 matter, it was not handled by our office, just so you know. And I believe it was, the best we can come up with is that it looked like an engineering firm that did the plan that was adopted. And just to expand slightly on what Mr. Johnson said, this development had a 12-year OPRA. And That's why it is now surfacing. It was in 2009. For 12 years, they had an Oprah, which meant they weren't paying anything.
Who's this for?
It's, the old fire station.
Oh,
And
Partners in Architecture.
yeah. And then this was to commence. In addition, the developer had an obligation or was supposed to submit bills for reimbursement, which no bills were ever submitted until the Oprah was coming up to expire. So this basically came to light a year ago. And Cliff has been working on it, and we've been working on it for the last several months. So in that time, you had 4 different finance directors. You had no, you had no billings being submitted, and you also did not even have a brownfield development committee that met because there was nothing for them to do during that period.
the 12 years is up at this point?
Yeah, the 12-year Oprah is now up.
What does OPRA stand for?
Obsolete Property Rehabilitation Act.
Act. Okay.
And so now that the Oprah is up, they would have to then pay property taxes?
Well, yeah.
And they're submitting bills now?
They are now submitting the bills that are
That go back 12
reimbursable.
years?
Yeah. And they also can capture part of it from the school tax, which this is one of the few statutes that authorizes capture from schools taxes. But they knew it wasn't going to kick in for 12 years.
There's
because of
nothing in the
Oprah.
statute that says you have to be upfront with these with what
No,
you
the
put in?
agreement said that they may submit invoices, and then if they submit invoices, then the Brownsfield Committee is supposed to look at those invoices and determine if they are eligible for reimbursement. And of course, nothing was done over the 12-year period.
So that's one problem.
Yeah, well, the other one is just that
Not a
there's.
problem they're doing.
Right, they're doing a project and we're
Which-
beginning the, yeah,
Looks amazing.
it does look amazing, but yeah, they
The
have
other
to
one is
submit
not a problem. It's an opportunity, and I just want to make sure we do it right.
Yes,
Amen.
because that does seem like a huge development
It's a big
project.
kind of very ugly area,
Yes.
so yeah. So, okay, anyone else? Everybody good? Okay, roll call, please.
Menser,
Yes.
Voorhees.
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Fournier,
Yes.
Goodnow,
Yes.
Hammond,
Yes.
Crop.
Yes. Okay, we will move on to 9C, work hour variance for night and weekend work on Gratiot.
No, we're
Do we-
postponed that one, didn't we?
No,
No.
10C.
10C.
I move to approve the work hour variance allowing construction to take place at night and on weekends on south and northbound Gratiot.
Support.
Okay, do you want Mr.
Mr. Wood will
Wood?
address this.
So MDOT went out for bid and has awarded a contract to Cimarron for crack sealing on Gratiot from 16 Mile to 23 Mile Road. Part of MDOT's bid and contract award was for nighttime construction. However, the city has an ordinance that does not allow construction after 8 p.m. without a permit. Therefore, Cimarron is requesting a work hour variance from the city so they can perform the crack sealing project, which is scheduled to begin August 9th through August 30th. Whether
Just 2 questions. Is the crack sealing going to prevent the weeds from growing in these cracks?
it will, yes.
I don't care when they do it. My second
Can you do
one,
it on the sidewalks?
is this the same contractor that MDOT gave us for the Harrington project?
No.
Okay.
I have never worked with this contractor.
Oh, well, this is 2 good news then. Okay, awesome. Anyone else? Anyone else have questions? No? Roll call, please.
Voorhees,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Fournier,
Yes.
Goodnow,
Yes.
Hammond,
Yes.
Crop,
Yes.
Menzer.
Yes.
I've never been so excited about crack sealing. Those weeds drive me crazy every time I drive up and down that road. All right, we're moving on to the Carnes Center conveyance documents. I'll entertain a motion.
I move to approve the lease termination agreement for the Carnes property with the Mount Clemens Community School District and authorize the mayor and city clerk to execute it on behalf of the city.
Mr. Johnson.
Support.
Oh, support, sorry.
Support.
Thank
In
you.
a hurry tonight.
Okay. Which of you would like to? All right, Mr. Johnson.
I'll start.
Okay.
The city attorney prepared the attached documents to terminate the Carnes lease and to convey all property, real and personal, to the city. They call for the city to take possession of Carnes on August 1st. There are two documents, a lease termination agreement, and a quitclaim deed. As the quitclaim is only signed by representatives of the school district, we're not asking the city commission to approve it in the recommended motion below. The conditions of the lease provide, upon expiration or earlier termination of the agreement, the leasee shall quit and surrender the property to lessor in good order and condition, reasonable wear and tear accepted. We find the building to be in reasonably good condition except for the parking lot. It's not perfect, but I think anything else wrong with that building would come under the normal wear and tear. But the parking lot is basically requires complete rebuilding. It's the opinion of our engineer at AEW, Kyle Seidel, and he has estimated the cost of replacement at about $160,000. So this agreement does call for the schools to reimburse the city for the cost of replacing the parking lot up to $160,000, with payments spread over 5 years. That's at the school's request. The superintendent has agreed to this, but the school board has not yet voted to do so. Their next meeting, I believe, is July 21st. It would be our intention to not replace it immediately. It'd probably be a spring project, but we'll probably want to do some temporary patching when we take possession, and then do a full replacement in the spring of 2020.
22.
I'm sorry, 2022. Things that we have done already is we've already made arrangements to put the Carnes Center onto the city's insurance policy effective August 1st. We will be transferring utilities to the city. If any of you would like some historical context, there's a link there that will take you to a document from a session we held in March that went through quite a bit of the background and included copies of the lease agreements and the notice that was provided by an attorney for the school district. We do still anticipate reaching a multi-year agreement with the Boys and Girls Club to operate the facility and provide recreational programs for Mount Clemens residents of all ages, not just youth. And as a preview of what they can provide, they operated a basketball camp at the facility this week in conjunction with the Detroit Pistons, which attracted over 60 boys and girls a day. And it very much was boys and girls, and some very young, others not so young.
Some the age 10.
Yeah.
And 8.
I believe the mayor's son ended up being involved.
Yeah.
I hope he had a good time.
He did.
For me, I was over there Monday when they started, and it didn't strike me until I saw it. It was the first time I think I've ever seen anybody under 30 in that building. So it was really exciting.
Yes, Commissioner Menzer.
So I have a question about inspections. Before we start putting a lot of kids in this building, I think we need to have a fire inspection, an electrical fire, and plumbing and building inspection to make sure that this building and these systems are in good shape. I would really hate for some kid to, sneak into a classroom and try and plug his, phone into a wall socket so he can charge it, and that's not a functioning socket, and him get injured. So I would like to see some inspections before we, turn it over to a lot of people coming in and out of there. I don't think there's been inspections in quite a while.
I know there has been some maintenance on the building. I mean, may not have been in the past year or so, but I know there has been some maintenance. And the building was fully used, to my understanding, when I was over there on Friday.
When AEW looked at the parking lot, did they only look at the parking lot, or did anyone?
They only looked at the parking lot.
Okay. And did we have, when you said it was an exceptional,
Reasonable.
what did you use?
Reasonable.
Reasonable. Who determined that?
That's my opinion.
Okay.
It's nothing more than that.
Okay. So before we engage in anything with the Boys and Girls Club, is that what you're referring to,
Yes.
Denise? Okay.
Yes.
So this agreement is only with the school district?
Right.
Right, okay.
But before we go,
Yeah, I think that's reasonable.
letting people in, let's get it inspected and make sure that everything is working the way that it is, legally supposed to.
That's
Sure.
fair.
Yeah.
I have one question. So was any discussion held regarding the $160,000 being spread over 5 years? Or did we just accept that without any discussion?
I think this is the discussion.
This is the discussion as far as the city commission is concerned. The discussion that's occurred right now has been limited to the superintendent and myself.
Okay. I would like to see that time period shortened. Perhaps they can't don't have the funds all at once, but we're being asked to come up with the funds all at once. And I think 5 years is a long time.
I think they'd like to have it even longer.
But we'd like to have it even shorter. So
Yeah, I
did we
think
propose that at all?
We did. When we first met with her, we asked for all of it at once. And then,
Or over 2 years, or?
they're just in a very different financial situation than we are. They're in the red.
I understand that. That's why I wonder if we'll ever see the $160,000 in the full.
I think you should be aware that the quitclaim deed, there should be no objection to. All quitclaim deed does is say whatever interest I've got in this property, I give to you now. You're not warranting anything. You're not doing any of that. The termination agreement was drafted premised upon the discussion between Mr. Johnson and the superintendent. The school board, I do not, they may have by now, but I don't know if they've seen it. And in the past, they've utilized an attorney, and I would expect that they will have the attorney review it. So there may be some changes to some of the language would be, I guess. I hope not, but that may occur.
Mike, who has the title to that property at this point?
We do.
City of Mount
We
Clemens.
do, but I don't know if I ordered a title search. I don't know if they recorded the lease, if they, perhaps created a lien of some kind over the years. So we'll find that out from the title search. But even assuming they didn't, it's always nice to get a quitclaim deed. So
Sure.
they're acknowledging whatever they've got, they're giving back.
For sure. Even over 4 years. I mean, if we put it in there and we give it to the.
Yeah, they can only say no, right? It just drags out this process. And I'm hoping that we anticipate Boys and Girls Club, we're trying to set up a meeting right now. It looks like middle of August is when we're going to be able to meet with them to kind of iron out some details, but to talk about some things. But But it looks, what the Boys and Girls Club is trying to do currently is secure funding for 5 years for operational costs. So that way, you know, they have a sustainable operation for at least 5 years. We can guarantee the community that they'll be there. And they're very close to that number, but they are waiting on one of their funders to come in, and they have been guaranteed an answer by September. So we know that it will be a little bit after that we can then announce and sign the deal and all that. But I'd like to be ready for that, you know, because the school board only meets once a month. So that, I mean, I'm sure they could call a special meeting and all of that, but it would be nice to just be able to make these things happen instead of it being us talking about this next July.
Well,
So-
I'm not trying to
No, I
drag it
know.
out.
No, for
But
sure.
I'd like to do the best deal we can do for the city.
Absolutely.
And since we do have to put up the 160, I mean, I would even do, I just think we should pull it back a little, even if it's 4 years. I just
Okay.
think we're never going, it's very risky to me to go out 5 years with this.
I don't think you're wrong. I'll just leave it at that. Mr. Voorhees and I have
Yes, for those of us who have a history.
we have some insider knowledge of.
Probably some of this comes from you, from the things I've
I'm like,
heard.
I'm not
But
going there.
we know the school district is not in great shape
Yeah.
financially, and
Yeah.
that's a well-established.
Yep.
I'd like to see I'll take a year.
You can always put it out there.
Can always extend it. I mean,
Right.
yeah, but at least try.
Right.
If 4 makes you feel better.
3 would make me feel better, and
Yeah.
2 would be great. But let's start there.
Concede on 4? Okay.
I'll concede on 4.
Is there anyone else who has any feedback on this one?
That would be a nice 40,000 a year.
Okay. Do we want to, are we just noting that change, or do we need to change the motion?
You would need to change the motion.
All right, so who made the motion?
Fournier.
Oh,
Well, there you go.
that's convenient.
So I have to first.
Can you amend your motion, amend your motion, and
Do we
then
have
your
to do-
supporter will have to support it again?
We don't have to do anything with the motion that's on the table, like get rid of that.
I think we can amend it, can't we?
Why don't you vote on the motion on the table and then make a new motion?
Okay.
Okay, well then, roll call.
Campbell? It was
We're voting this down. Okay, no.
I'm sorry, did you call me? He said no.
Oh, that was a no.
Yeah,
Sorry.
it's okay.
Fournier?
No.
Goodnow?
No.
Hammond?
Yes.
Crop?
Yes.
Menser?
Yes.
Voorhees?
Yes.
So it passed.
All right. Sorry, Laura.
This will remind you.
You can remind us.
Move to go. No, make it a new motion.
But it already
But
is
it
approved,
passed.
passed.
It passed, yeah.
Yes, it is. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Thank you for your recommendation.
Oh, I thought it was approved.
He said he was
Oh,
ready for
okay.
something else.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the way it is. Okay.
I'll go with 5. All right, we'll move on to purchase and payments of invoices.
Move to approve purchases and payment of invoices as presented.
Support.
Anyone with questions or comments? Commissioner Menzer.
I'm looking at the SCADA update or upgrade, and I just had a question about, nothing in the quote indicates that there's support desk or help desk, support. So I just kind of wanted to point that out.
Just startup and training services. Did you see that?
That's startup and training, but that's not ongoing support if there's, issues or trouble, or the server goes down, or there's a software glitch, or we get hacked, all of which could happen. So I just wanted to point out that there is nothing here that gives support.
Do we have
There's
Lenny
1 year of cellular fees, but that does not cover, help desk support should an event occur.
Do we have Lenny on the line for that, or?
I am not sure if Lenny is watching this meeting or not, but
Darren, do we have Lenny on there?
Lenny Bertram? Lenny?
Yes, I'm here.
Did you hear the
what
question?
was the question? I missed. I did miss what you guys said. Sorry.
Lenny, I looked at the quote, and although it has a year out, of cellular fees, I don't see anything on the quote for like help desk. If we get hacked, or there's a server failure, or there's a sudden upgrade or patch needed in the software because of an issue. I don't see anything on this quote for, help desk services.
They are the city's force contractor. We have a contract with them where we have an hourly contract with them currently, where all that stuff would be included just under their normal working contract.
Okay. So this is just for the SCADA upgrade, and
Yep.
all help desk services is covered in another contract.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, are there any other questions or comments? All right, roll call, please.
Fournier.
Yes.
Goodnow.
Yes.
Hammond.
Yes.
Crap.
Yes.
Menser.
Yes.
Voorhees.
Yes.
Campbell.
Yes.
Okay, we'll move on to consent agenda. Remember, now we removed item C, so it will be A and B. Do I have a
Move to
motion?
approve consent agenda items A and B.
Support.
Roll call, please.
Goodnow.
Yes.
Hammond.
Yes.
Crap.
Yes.
Menser.
Yes.
Voorhees.
Yes.
Campbell.
Yes.
Fournier.
Yes.
Okay, city manager's report.
Thank you. Start off with fireworks, which have been rescheduled for July 22nd. And at the time this was written, that was one of the few days when rain was not forecast. And I think that was still true this morning, at least.
We're hoping.
20%.
On our charter amendment, the Attorney General's office has advised the governor that our proposed ballot language is in compliance with the Michigan Home Rule Cities Act. We're now awaiting approval from the governor. Grants, we had two that are going through Congress. The $480,000 joint grant application with East Point for what it's been called the East Side Community Hub Revitalization Project at East Point High School and the Carnes Community Center, And we also have a $750,000 grant request for community project funding for Art Space Phase 3. Both of these have been advanced to the next level. They're included in the draft fiscal year 2022 transportation HUD bill on pages 27 to 28. That doesn't mean that it's a sure thing by any means, but so far so good. We've talked about Carnes Center this week a couple of times already, so let it go that they're active. And in case they did want to do anything more, I've got certificates of insurance that name both the city and the school district for any activity that the Boys and Girls Club does in July or August.
Good. So we're covered.
So we're covered regardless of who owns the center and regardless of when they do it.
Good. That's a good thing.
The branding project is moving along. It's pretty close to being ready for a presentation to the City Commission. The committee had asked Redhead for some very minor revisions to the proposed logo. We've actually received those. The committee is meeting again on Thursday to review those and choose one of two options for that. And then we're going to plan a special meeting for the presentation. I think this is going to be a joint meeting with the City Commission, the DDA, and the Library Board, because all three are involved in this project. We already have special meetings scheduled before the next 4 regular City Commission meetings, so this is going to come on an off date. And if I can get everything arranged, I'm probably going to do it at the Anton Art Center.
Oh, that's good.
You can
Yeah.
manage.
I think it's better set up for doing this kind of thing. Clerk certification, the mayor read the letter from the Municipal Clerks Association. Congratulations again, Kathy.
Thanks, Don.
Retirements and replacements, Teresa Hippel, recently retired from Community Development Department, has been replaced by Taylor Stacy. Terry Lucci's last day in purchasing will be July 27th. She's currently training her replacement, Tyler Fox. So we're going from the Therese and Teresas to Taylors and Tylers. COVID-19. This is the first report, city manager's report I've ever prepared that did not lead with COVID-19. I say here that the numbers remain low and that the chart indicates that. I know there's been a lot of things in the news about numbers creeping up again. But I think right now we're still in a good place, a very good place compared to where we have been. I do have the link for Macomb County Vaccine Central. Anyone 12 or older is eligible to receive a COVID vaccine, and if you want to know where, click on that link and it will tell you. And then we have the future agendas. We talked about KE Electric. It's the next meeting, 8/2, when we're going to have a work session on that one.
Excellent. Does anyone have any questions or comments? Commissioner Metzer.
I would like to know if decisions have been made about the CARES money that the city received. I know we made some decision for part of it, but there's still $1 million sitting out there that we haven't had any discussion on, and I'd like to know
That's
what
correct.
we're doing with that.
That's correct. We haven't made a decision on that. We haven't brought anything back to the commission on that yet.
So are we going to do that soon?
Yeah, we'll need to.
Okay. And I'm good.
Okay. All right. This is our second opportunity for the public to participate in our meeting. And if you would like to address the commission, we ask that you come to the microphone, give us your full name, and abide by our 2-minute rule. We'll first address people in person, and then we'll go to our Zoom meeting. Anyone who would like to participate?
Sorry, guys, I know it's been a long meeting. Thomas Barnes, 291 Jones Street. I just want to say, as one of the loudest advocates for the Carnes Community Center, somebody who has been fighting for this place for a very long time, I can tell you that being there last week with all of that new energy, with all of the kids, with the parking lot full, people from the community were driving up. What is going on here? What is happening? Tell me about this place. What's going on now? So there was a lot of new excitement and a lot of new energy that was there with the reopening of that center. You're looking at a building that's been sitting vacant for over a year. You're looking at the skeleton every day. It looks like it's dead. And in 2 seconds, boom, the whole neighborhood is on fire about what's going on here. The Boys and Girls Club of Southeastern Michigan brought that spark back to a hopeless community in our city. And I want to thank you for the part that you played in making that happen. About getting the parking lot open, getting the doors open, and putting smiles on the faces of our local kids. Because at the end of the day, they are our children. All of them are our kids. My kids were there, and I don't know if any of you know, but my son, who is one of our county commissioners, actually drove her children from Warren every day to participate in this game. So we got a lot of saturation, and then the pokey people too. So like that was a whole nother level of excitement downtown on Sunday too, with all the Pokemon players. So the more things we keep going in the city, the better energy, better attitudes, better everything. So thank you guys.
Anyone else? No one on Zoom? Okay, excellent. We'll go ahead and move on to commissioner comments.
Wait.
Commissioner Hammond? Oh, what?
You, get up and tell everybody about this week. No, but it's more exciting coming from you.
He won't take offense to that.
And he's not, and he didn't talk about Friday, and he didn't talk about Saturday.
No problem, I'll do it. Okay, Mickey Weiss, 18200 Terra Drive, Clinton Township, Mount Clemens, DDA. Okay, we're going to start off Thursday with a concert with the Beach Cats, which will be 7:30 to 8:30. The fireworks will follow immediately after. Friday night is our Uptown Friday night with APR with Elizabeth Smith, which is a great band. And then on Saturday from 6 to 8, we will have the Michigan Opera concert.
Very nice.
Is that better?
And Friday is jazz and funk.
Yes, that is well, I thought we've had APR before, and yes, it's jazz and funk.
Okay.
And what time is that, Miss? What time is that, Miss Mickey?
The Uptown Friday night is 7 to 9.
7 to 9.
So if you can't come Thursday, come Friday. If you can't come Friday, come Saturday.
There you go. All right, thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Now, Commissioner Goodenough.
I have nothing. Thank
Okay.
you.
All right. Commissioner Voorhees.
I would like to mention that the mayor and I sit on the City of Mount Clemens Retirement Board for our employees, and we are at $64 million, and I believe that's probably about 100% funded, which we can all take pride in, because there are very few communities that can turn around and say that their retirement for their employees is at 100%. Speaking of that retirement board, there are several committees that I believe we need some volunteers for.
Yes.
You know, they have a whole list of committees. If you have any expertise or any interest, please contact the city clerk or the mayor, and they have an application, and certainly will process it.
Also available online.
And online, yes.
Conveniently located online.
Yes, absolutely. Maybe look there first.
Right.
Also, I don't follow the home sales in Mount Clemens. My wife does, and she tells me that houses go on the market within 3 days. They are sold. They'll have offers, and they have multiple offers. So this is a good thing. Mount Clemens is a desirable community to live in. And with that, once a Clemite, always a Clemite.
Commissioner Menzer.
The first thing I would like to do is acknowledge Paul Boone in his passing. Paul Boone was the owner of Orleans and O'Halloran's. O'Halloran's, as many of you know, is my favorite bar, eatery in the city of Mount Clemens. He was an icon. He was a gentleman. He had a great sense of humor, and he loved this city. So rest in peace, Paul. We're thinking of you. Mr. Barnes mentioned the Pokemon. I went through town Saturday about 10:30, and there was a crowd of like 50 people in Kennedy Square. And they're all standing around looking at their phones. And there were a range of people. There were little kids, like little kids. And there were adults. And there were people maybe my age or older. And this one person was walking across the street, and I said to him, hey, you guys doing Pokemon? And he looked at me, and it's like I was speaking another language. I was not speaking Pokemon. But but the city was packed on Saturday. And I took a little turn through the downtown, and they were on New Street, and they were on, Macomb Place, and they were over on Pine, and they were everywhere. And I think that's a wonderful thing also. After I attended the celebration of life for Paul on Saturday at O'Halloran's, I walked over to the concert and caught the concert, talked to a bunch of people, and it was a wonderful concert. It was really great to see all of the people out there. People came prepared with their own beverages and their own chairs, but there was also quite a few tables where people had the social district special designated glass. I ran into one of our former commissioners, Joe Raker, down there, and he was enjoying a beverage from a Bevo's. So I already asked about the Recovery Cares Act, and I just wanted to remind Mr. Barnes, there is a little free library out at Carnes that could be filled.
It is filled.
Yeah, it had quite a few books in there
It was
Friday.
filled.
Was it?
Wayland,
Good.
yeah.
Okay, good. Thank you. If you need books, call us. I'm done.
Okay, Commissioner Campbell.
I would just say, we had a meeting tonight prior to this about regarding blight and how things work, et cetera. I think Mr. Tingley has offered some new streamlining to help the process move along, so I think everybody is very pleased with regards with what took place tonight, so thank you to that.
Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Campbell. We will, Commissioner Hammond.
Thank you. I want to congratulate the employees that are retiring and the replacements as well. And then, yes, the Excitement Friday at Kearns was exciting to see the faces of the children smiling and playing, and the different vendors that they also brought in. Dr. Nitro doing the ice cream and the science experiment, the gaming bus that the children truly enjoyed after the physical activity of playing basketball. And also there was a lot of other volunteers. I didn't get their names, but there was a group that was giving away books to all of the children. So it was just an awesome event to be able to go out and attend and see all the happy children at Kearns. And that's all I have for tonight.
Thank you.
So I'm going to connect the Pokemon and the Carnes event, because I was at the Carnes event just for a little bit, and it was an amazing, as you all heard. But there was a little guy there, and he was drawing a picture, and I said, what is that? Is it a monster? And he says, it's a Pokemon. And he gave me the name of it, which I don't remember anymore. But it's a great grandchild event for you grandparents. I take my grandsons and we go Pokemoning, and it is a lot of fun, I have to say. And it's outside, and Pokemon is on my phone. So my condolences to Paul Boone's family. I feel so bad about that, and he went through so much. It is a loss for Mount Clemens, but we thank him for all that he's done, and his wife. I mean, she's still there, and she's been through a lot, and my condolences to her. Kathy, congratulations. I'm so happy you've done such an incredible job so far. I just so happy you're here. And good luck to Teresa and to Terry. They've been longtime employees, and we will miss them, but I'm sure Taylor and Tyler will, I'll always remember their names now, do a great job. So we'll look forward to seeing everyone at the fireworks Thursday.
All right. I want to thank everyone who also had a role in the Boys and Girls Club and Detroit Pistons camp. We thank the Detroit Pistons for investing in our community along with the Boys and Girls Club. I also want to thank TCB Mentoring, because they provided all of the student coaches, and so our student athletes were very involved in helping manage the camp with the kids and coach the little ones along with the Detroit Pistons. So that was a really neat opportunity for them they are mentees, but they got to be mentors, and that was an exciting opportunity. I also want to mention I think my experience with Paul Boone was that he was kind of a gentle giant within our city, and he had a really big personality, but he was also a person that people listened when he spoke at our DDA meetings, because he had thoughtful thoughtful additions to our meetings. And he was also a doer. So when things needed to get done, if it was haul a block of ice for Mickey for the ice show, or put up a tent for Oktoberfest, or sponsor the bar for the art center, quiet things that were never publicized. He never asked for recognition. Actually, he would prefer to not be recognized necessarily. He would just prefer that you come to O'Halloran's and have a beer, and that way to recognize him. I know that there were very dark days during the recession in Mount Clemens. I lived here during those times, but I wasn't involved politically. But I know that the Boones were people who helped keep the lights on in downtown. And they were people who never left during those dark, dark times. And I think that we should all remember that, and I think that we should all honor him by making sure that his establishments are keeping their doors open. So I think even if you didn't have the pleasure of knowing Paul Boone and didn't have the pleasure of knowing his wife necessarily, I think that going to honor him by attending, and going to his establishments would be a great way, and something that he would think is amazing. So I of course pass on our deepest condolences to the entire Boone family. And with that, I will.
Mayor Crop,
Yes,
before we conclude, I would hope that we would be able to have a resolution.
It's in the works.
And have Mrs. Boone here for a
We thought
presentation.
that this meeting was a little too early for it, but
Yeah,
yeah, we will.
att-
It's in the works. Yeah,
Very
Vicky's
good.
helping our staff do that. Yeah,
Very good.
absolutely. And actually, we're also gonna at our next, if we don't have an August DDA meeting, it's also in the works to find out how we can honor him as a group there as well.
Perfect.
So with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?